Yo, yo, how are we doing? Do I got something on my goddamn chin? Probably, goddamn. What's poppin', man? How's everybody doing? How are we doing? We are in the building. It is almost midnight, but we actually do have another topic. I didn't really have time earlier to kind of like go through everything we go through with this Donald Trump topic and Elon Musk, but I did some research, got everything together, got the paperwork, got files, got videos, wall-to-wall coverage. So we're going to go ahead and break down this situation between Trump and Elon Musk. Thank to everybody watched the last stream like we did. We did goddamn like over 5,000 views on X. It went kind of crazy on X. I'm not gonna lie. Shit did. Let me see real quick before we even start the stream. I was cooking on X like crazy, man. We was cooking for like 4 hours on that last stream we did. Let me just see the final numbers for that X. Let me see. Let me go ahead and see if I can share the screen with you guys. Let me see if I can share the screen, because obviously it's like sometimes I'm trying to share the screen and shit, and the stream stops. So let me see if we can do it. Let me see if we can do it. Let me see. All right. So as you can see, last stream we did, bam, almost 6,000 views on X. So yeah, like I said, man, last video we did almost 6,000 views on X. So that's what's up, man. I don't know where everybody is now on X, but we did a lot of good traction earlier today. So let's get into this Trump news, man. And the way we're gonna break down Trump news, we're gonna break it down from the time Trump was trying to get the Tesla stock up and talking we're investing in EV cars and electric cars and stuff like that. And it was a big publicity stunt, but nobody really gave a damn. They just knew that sooner or later, Trump, Elon Musk, the whole thing was going to implode. And let's just start off, this Perspectives and Facts podcast, man. We're gonna slow burn this topic. Like I said, man. Remember Trump with the bet at the White House for Elon Musk, with the Teslas. You know what I'm saying? He said, we ended the EV madness, all that good shit. So let's go ahead and just play this audio now. And what the deterioration between Trump, Elon Musk, and the Republican Party, and what does that mean for America, man?
Never even mentioned it to me, never complained until this moment. I'm just bringing it up. Who would do that? Yeah. He has not called yet. They said, no, sir. The next day, what about Elon? Did he call? He never even mentioned it to me, never complained until this moment. I'm just bringing it up. Who would do that? Yeah. He has never asked me for a thing. And he's built this great company, and he shouldn't be penalized because he's a patriot. He's an incredible patriot. And I don't even know if he's a Republican. I really don't.
Mr. President, Mr. President.
And it seemed like from my vantage point, what's up, Carlton? We in the building. What's up? What's popping? What's up, man? It just seemed like early on between Trump, Elon, it was like I scratch your back, you scratch mine type of deal. But it just seemed like very early on, Elon was a little too overzealous, and it just seemed like he was just trying to get too much shine in Trump's way. And I think the people next to Trump probably whispered in his ears like, "Hey, man, this dude is allegedly, maybe a little unhinged. Maybe Elon is a little, they say he might be on certain things, certain substances." And I think maybe he just ran his course with Trump, and according to what's being said, he got kicked out of the White House, and he's kind of having a meltdown right now. We got Republican senators speaking on it, and we do have Speaker Johnson talking about the brand new bill, because what's really happening right now is that they just passed this brand new bill in Congress that Republicans did not read, but yet they pretty much voted for without reading the bill. And then when they tried to veto the bill, I think earlier today, the Republican Party, half those people weren't even in attendance to veto the bill or have any pushback, which I thought was kind of fucking insane. But nevertheless, we got some other people speaking on it right now. And this is kind of lead up to what happened today when niggas start crashing out, spazzing out on everybody. So here we go.
Elon Musk just said we need a brand new bill that doesn't grow the deficit. He was actually quote tweeting a video of you from the press conference this morning saying you tried to reach him last night.
Let me go ahead and get this on the stream for you guys. Because honestly, like I said, man, the things that they're stopping in this new bill, what they're trying to cause it or trying to say what the hell it is, it just sounds like a gimmick to me. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not in Congress, but I just don't like the bill. I don't like what it represents. But let's go ahead.
Do you have any response? He says we need a brand new bill that doesn't grow the deficit.
Elon, look, we don't have time for a brand new bill. And I want Elon and all my friends to recognize the complexity of what we've accomplished here. This extraordinary piece of legislation, record number of savings, record tax cuts for the American people, and all the other benefits in it. We worked on the bill for almost 14 months. You can't go back to the drawing board, and we shouldn't. We have a great product to deliver here. So I know it's not perfect by some people's estimations, but you cannot make a perfect the enemy of the very, very, very good. We're proud of this product. The House Republicans are proud of it, and we're happy to go out and explain that to everybody. So I'll continue to try to reach Elon and tell him, extol the merits of our work here. I hope he'll understand this. Thank you.
And then hold on. And then we got Newsmax host. He came out yesterday. Actually, was it yesterday? It was earlier today, before everything blew up. And he said this. He said this could be like, you know, a 4D chess move. This can be like how would I put it? Orchestrated sabotage. But
Okay. Simply because it passed the House already.
I called Elon last night and he didn't answer, but I'm not upset about this. And I just, I think he understands, and he's acknowledged to me before, that this is so serious that we can't fool around with it.
Yeah, that's what we're concerned about. It is serious. And we're concerned about you guys fooling around with it. The bill wasn't perfect when it got there. Okay, and Elon, I think, is right on this one, because apparently you passed a bill that no one read, that you told us was so star-spangled awesome, Mike, that it had to be passed. And Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted out today, or actually yesterday, full transparency. I did not know this section on pages 278 and 279 of the OBBB that strips states of the right to make laws or regulate AI for 10 years. She said, I'm adamantly opposed to this and is a violation of states' rights, and I would have voted no if I had known this was in there. This needs to be stripped out in the Senate. Look, I love Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she's right on target about 99% of the time, and I'm generally pretty aligned with her on most things. But is it too much to ask that somebody who's getting paid $174,000 of my tax money a year to read the one major thing they voted on this month? I mean, this is exactly what I've been ranting about for a month. Look, I know Trump supported this bill, but we also know that he is not thrilled about the final product. But how much other junk is there in this, like this bill? I have a theory, though, and this is just my theory, but I've recently been pretty right about a lot of things, so I'm just going to roll with it. I think Trump might be working in tandem with Elon here to tank his own bill in a 4D chess move. Just a theory. My reasoning, I mean, like, how many people in the history of ever, like Trump's entire political career of the last decade, have come out against something Trump wants? And when has Trump just not gone off and completely obliterated them on like a global scale? Seriously. Ron DeSantis says one bad thing about Trump. Trump ruined his presidential career potential. Massey, 99% aligned with Trump, doesn't vote for the big, beautiful bill, and Trump's supporting a primary against him. So why hasn't Trump said anything negative about Elon? You picking up what I'm putting down? I mean, maybe Trump is also reading the country that's not thrilled about massive deficits that this creates and saying, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have settled for what the Congress gave me, so let's put Congress in the hot seat and force it back to the drawing board. Is it crazy to think? I don't think so. I mean, one of the things that I think is really underplayed here is the fact that, yes, we get all these tax cuts now. Great. That's a huge Republican talking point, and they're always saying that's why we need to pass this to avoid the largest tax hike in history. Okay. Well, first off, it was their idea to make the Trump tax cuts temporary in the first place. I realize there's like procedural reasons why they did this, but the procedure sucks. So I'm not giving them a pass on that because they made the procedure. So don't tell me we have to pass something so you can cover your own behind for not passing permanent tax cuts the first time, Mike Johnson. The other part is, yes, America gets the tax cuts right now, which is a great thing. It really is a good thing. And that is the one reason why I've been even mildly supportive of this bill, because taxation is theft. But almost all the spending cuts don't kick in until 2029. Why not start them tomorrow? So we're just going to increase the deficit by like $5 trillion. Rand Paul is all over this. Folks, look, there's a bunch of people out there that think that this is like some monolithic scenario where you either support Trump in the bill or you don't. It's not that simple. The left-wing media wants to think that this is dividing Republicans. But let me tell you, you know I'm like one of the most staunch MAGA guys since 2015. OK, you can be against something that Trump is for and still support Trump.
Republicans who can't actually bear what Trump is doing to their own states and to their own constituents, but they're too scared to say they're against it.
Are there MAGA folks who would follow, or let's not kid ourselves, the voters who are MAGA are Trump MAGA?
This division between Tea Party Republicans, the Republicans that were born out of the beginning of the Obama presidency, where fiscal discipline is a major issue, government reform, cutting programs, and this new MAGA movement. President Trump really does not prioritize fiscal discipline.
So, look, folks, I live in Connecticut, where we lost the SALT tax and the first Trump taxes. I still supported them because they were good for the country. Cost me a ton of extra money a year, but I supported it on a large scale. So don't let Joe Scarborough or whatever those other talking heads say that, oh, MAGA's turning on Trump and Elon. There's no division. We just have a simple policy disagreement. We are turning on Republican members of Congress and the Senate, though, who want to rubber stamp this without any criticism. All we want is a little bit better bill, just a little bit. Not too much to ask. I mean, you guys, after all, you guys did promise us all these things. And you had to read the bills the first time to pass them, too. Like, I'm talking about all the bills. Like, why didn't you ever read any of these bills? I mean, maybe we wouldn't have had so many of the things in there that's wasting money that's now being sent back in this rescission package that the White House had to get together. The same thing that happened with this bill that Marjorie Taylor Greene pointed out is the reason why all this other stuff needed to be caught by DOJ, and we're in the fiscal situation we're in. Seriously, $33,000 for being LGBTQ in the Caribbean, $643,000 for LGBTQ programs in Western Balkans. I don't even know where that is. $567,000 for LGBT programs in Uganda. $5 million for Minority Serving Institute Fellowship Cooperative Agreement. What is that? $600,000 for training women in gender equity. $500,000 for electric buses in Rwanda. They don't even have electricity in some parts of Rwanda. $6 million for net zero cities in Mexico. Why are we doing that? $2.1 million for climate resilience in Southeast Asia, Latin America, and East Africa. $5 million for green transportation and logistics in Eurasia. $3 million for Iraqi Sesame Street. $833,000 for transgender people, sex workers, and their clients and sexual networks in Nepal. $5.1 million for resilience of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, and queer global movements. $3 million for circumcision, vasectomies, and condoms in Zambia. $135 million to the World Health Organization that got everything wrong on COVID. $1.1 billion for the left-wing Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which uses your public taxpayer money to fund PBS and NPR so they can dunk on Trump. You're going to sit there and tell me, any Republican right now, you're going to sit there and tell me that 218 or more people in the House voted to have those items individually funded with my tax dollars? I doubt it. Those items and millions of other things get stuffed into bills last minute by some legislative staffer. Nobody reads it. Then it goes to the House floor with the party whips just telling people to straight up vote for this or that. And if they're against it, they promise them something on the side. Committee position, or worse, additional earmarks for their district that one of their friendly contractors who may or may not have donated to their campaign might get a bid for. That's how you got Sesame Street in Iraq. Not because it was a great idea, but because of the wheeling and dealing of Washington, D.C., which ironically enough is what we voted against in November. So here's an idea. Why don't we just go back to the 2016 budget? $3.85 trillion. Still a ton of money, but it's nearly half. It's nearly half of what we're spending now. What are we spending like now? COVID amounts of money when we had to prop up an entire economy that was shut down. We don't need to spend that much money. I mean, the disease wasn't even that bad in the first place, but we are now spending Nancy Pelosi's budget. So what'll make me happy? Under $4 trillion in spending. I don't want to hear about the justification of discretionary and mandatory and reconciliation and all these other fancy terms that Congress throws around to hide behind the process that they made. That's the mandate. Do it. Don't do it. Okay, it's your primary. It's time to live within our means. We take in like $5.5 trillion of money. We can't figure out how to work within that. Maybe a little bit less so we can start paying down the debt. I think behind the scenes, that's the message Donald Trump is actually trying to send. And that's why he hasn't gone after Elon Musk, because he's learned to navigate Washington, D.C. a whole lot better than he did in his first term.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.
All right, man. All right. So I want to play that because before everything fell out, you had the Republican apologists and you had the Elon fanboys out here saying, "Oh no, oh, if it looks like they're beefing, they're running the double cross. You guys just don't see it. You don't peep what's going on." And it's like, yo, sooner or later, y'all gonna see these Trump and Elon are not cool like that. And lo and behold, today we're chilling, and Trump, Elon starts talking kind of crazy about the bill, and Trump, you know Donald Trump, man, he don't play. He starts firing shots, and we're gonna start playing some of the stuff here, and this is when the relationship pretty much started to implode. And here we go.
He's upset. Remember, he was here for a long time. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk. And even with the black eye, I said, "Do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup." But he said, "No, I don't think so," which is interesting and very nice. He wants to be who he is, so you could make that statement too, I guess. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. And again, biggest tax cuts in history, biggest economic development moves anywhere. We've never done anything like it. He's upset. Remember, he was here for a long time. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk. And even with the black eye, I said, "Do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup." But he said, "No, I don't think so," which is interesting. And he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape. He said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot. A lot of good things are happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly, and some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it, but we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone, the whole world is different, and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it, you'll let us know. Yeah. And he never had a problem until
Yeah, and let me stop the screen. And I want to say this too with the situation. Yo, what's up? Well, cousin Bill, what's up, Isaac? What's popping, man? Yeah, we doing a stream about this Trump topic right now, man. Dog, and one thing, and I'm not a Trump supporter like that, but one thing I do understand is what he's saying, and what he's saying pretty much is same thing with who's it, Omarosa, same thing with the last vice president, same thing with a lot of people who ride the Trump bandwagon, sign up and co-sign all the crazy shit he says and he's for and he stands for, act like it's not a problem. They live in a world of delusion. And then the minute they get kicked off the Trump train, now they got a book they wrote. They were the spook that sat behind the door. They got every answer and a bunch of shit going on, and they know how to stop Trump, and he was evil. But you weren't saying any of that when Trump was cutting checks and you were signing over anything he put in your face and defending him. So Carlton Way, I feel like, you know, some of my family have Trump derangement syndrome. I feel him, bro. And what he's saying is like, yo, when I'm, you know, when I'm beneficial people, they rocking with me. The minute they're not anymore, they flip, they switch. You know, I'm not saying that they're not justified. I just feel like people change up so fast, and it's such like night and day. I feel like you guys, like even with JD Vance, I feel like with JD Vance, how 1 minute you hated Trump and the next minute you super cool with Trump. And it's funny, Elon's trying to pull a double cross saying, oh, Vance should be the next president. Is that because Vance never liked Trump in the first place, and now we're throwing a Trojan horse in the situation to cause a splinter in the White House and to cause a coup? You gotta look at things like that, man. This is chess, not checkers. We got another post right here. Let me see if we can go ahead and share this. Give me a second. Share screen. Got it right here. All right, let me hop up off of this real quick.
Of course, was an all-time record on the trade balance. And do remember, last week's advance only included goods. This one includes goods and services, comes in at minus 61.6 billion. That's about 5 billion less than we were expecting in terms of the deficit, but it does follow a revised 138 billion with a minus sign that was 140 billion. And that, of course, was an all-time record trade balance of goods and services. And as you can see, it has now been cut by more than half. And the big drop in imports seems to be where everyone's pointing. The big news there is how much it bolsters GDP. Just look at Atlanta Fed GDP now, which is at 4.64%. On the trade balance, and do remember, last week's advance only included goods. This one includes goods and services, comes in at minus 61.6 billion. That's about 5 billion less than we were expecting in terms of the deficit, but it does follow a revised 138 billion with a minus sign that was 140 billion. And that, of course, was an all-time record trade balance of goods and services. And as you can see, it has now been cut by more than half. And the big drop in imports seems to be where everyone's pointing. The big news there is how much it bolsters GDP. Just look at Atlanta Fed GDP now, which is at 4.64%. On the trade balance, and do remember, last week's advance only included goods. This one includes goods and services, comes in at minus 61.6 billion. That's about 5 billion less than we were expecting in terms of the deficit, but it does follow a revised 138 billion with a minus sign that was 140 billion. And that, of course, was an all-time record trade balance of goods and services. And as you can see, it has now been cut by more than half.
But if they picked him, I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have all. We want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, it became a little bit different. And I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody. And he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape. He said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
To that end, Mr. President, I just want to clarify, did he raise any of these concerns with you privately before he raised them publicly? And this is the guy.
All right. Let me stop sharing this one. Yeah. So what I'm pretty much laying out to you is Trump met, like I said, Trump had his usual press conference. He came out, like I said, he was just pretty much speaking on a few things. And this is another post he made. Let me go ahead and share the screen too. I'm just gonna read out to you. He said, Trump tweeted, said, Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars. Nobody else wanted. That he knew for months I was going to do. And he just went crazy. Said dog went crazy. Dog lost his mind. He sent the goons, punched him, blacked his eye a couple weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? Said some gangster shit like, you know what I'm saying? Clean your out. We can get you some makeup. He said, nah. He came out there with a black eye. You know what I'm saying? Nothing bigger than program. And then Trump kind of threatened him and said that the easiest way to save money in the budget is by terminating Elon's government contracts. Once he said that, Tesla's stock dropped 11% today. So he hit that man right in his pockets, like directly, a direct punch in his pockets. And then Elon Musk tweeted today, said, go ahead, make my day. After Trump threatened to take away his government contracts. Now, it's funny because, they talk about DEI, welfare queens, this and that. And Elon Musk gets more money from the government than anybody I ever known or anybody ever met on welfare. And I don't understand. And then he also came out and said that Donald Trump is on the Epstein files. He said Donald Trump is on the Epstein files, and that's why the documents haven't been released. That shook the internet today to the core. And we, like I said, I want to play this because I want to show you guys something Trump said not too long ago. Give me a second.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
And what I'm about to show you right now is Trump actually with Epstein. This is real footage. So it's funny that Elon Musk said it and, the receipts start popping up. So roll with me, guys.
Charges that Jeffrey Epstein was running a sex trafficking ring in the early 2000s that included underage girls as young as 14 years old.
Donald Trump in 2002 said of Epstein, he's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side.
He routinely spoke fawningly of Jeffrey. He admired Epstein's lifestyle.
Your daughter, she's beautiful. Can I say this? A piece of it.
Yeah.
She's actually always been very voluptuous.
What does Tiffany have of Marlon's?
She's got Marlon's legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet.
You were playing tennis and you came off the court. Quote, look at that piece of I would love some of that. It so happened that Trump was referring to Cohen's then 15-year-old daughter, Samantha.
I had the impression that he was interested in younger women and that
women would age out for him.
Miss Teen Universe? Yeah, that's like giving Jeffrey Dahmer a cooking show.
I'll go backstage before a show, and everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I stand in there with notes like,
Donald Trump is heard making questionable comments about a young girl.
You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years.
A lawsuit against the presumptive GOP nominee alleges he raped a girl when she was 13 years old.
Prince Andrew answering questions for the first time about his friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't know Prince Andrew, but it's a tough story.
Trump has been photographed with Prince Andrew as far back as the year 2000.
Ghislaine Maxwell is accused of helping Epstein sexually abuse underage girls.
I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well.
You know about sexual predators and things like that. I mean,
You are one.
All right, I was going to say that, but it's true.
That was kind of crazy. And like I said, me personally, I'm not saying Donald Trump has done any of that, but the fact that he is on video file with Epstein, they lived around the same area. And Elon jumped out and said, dude was on, was on tapes. He was on the planes. He was on. I think it's kind of crazy, bro. And my thing is, why would you wait to say that now? Is that admitting that we are owned by a group in the Middle East? That's what I'm getting from all this. I feel like we're actually owned by a group in the Middle East, but I'm not gonna go too far into that topic. But for shit, sure, man. Like this is you can't be trying to expose everybody, bro. And I don't know if Elon Musk can survive what he's about to crash out to do. And this is AG Pambani. I want to know another reason why the Epstein files just been sitting in people's office. Like, why don't we got the files yet?
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll check back with you. The DOJ may be releasing the list.
Elon Musk, in a fit of rage, just alluded that Donald Trump is on the Epstein files. This is a serious escalation. And to Elon Musk, I say this. One, I don't believe you because the Biden administration, if it was true, would have already dropped it to try to get rid of Trump before the election. Two, if you have evidence, freaking show the evidence before you make such a catastrophic and world-ending allegation. Three, either drop the evidence now, because if you actually have that, then why wouldn't you drop it? And if you don't have the evidence, which I do not believe that you do, Donald Trump is about to become the richest man in the world because he should sue you into absolute oblivion. Drop the evidence if you have it, or you're a coward and a liar. It has to be one or the other. And because you are playing games, I have to believe that you're lying. And if that's the case, God help you.
And something else Elon said. Elon would, pretty much be from Trump. And he came out and said, dog, all this money I put in, everything I did for Trump, he wouldn't have won the presidency without me. All right. He pretty much, some people think he's saying that is rigged, or some people are just saying just flat out, like, did he buy the election? Because some people thought Elon Musk bought the election, right? Donald Trump wasn't having that. Donald Trump was like, whoa, slow down, my nigga. Like, what are you talking about? And we're about to play what Donald Trump said, because I support his statements. What's up, Trevor Jackson building? Yeah, man, we got to do a late night show, man. We had the Diddy trial. We had a Jane Doe confirmed in the Diddy trial in the middle of the day. That news popped off. I had to pop off with that news. And then in the middle of that going off, we had the Trump versus Elon Musk situation that blew out of proportion. So, you know, if I was in a perfect world, I would have had enough energy to run the stream from 2 to 12. But I'm telling you, like, the way things were breaking and the way these articles and these videos and interviews were coming out and dropping today, we had to do 2 shows. It was too much going on. Elon has evidence, just like Wack has video evidence. All these rappers, yeah, man, bro. People be having the tape. People got the content. What niggas say on Wack? We got the content. They be having the content. They just be waiting for somebody to slip up. And when somebody slip up, then that's when they, you know, that's when niggas want to start spilling tea, man. Niggas don't want to hold it down. They be your own people. They be your own people. They ain't trying to hold nothing down. But here we go. We got Trump speaking on Elon.
So we've done a great job. Elon knew that. Elon endorsed me very strongly. We've done a great job. Elon knew that. Elon endorsed me very strongly. He actually went up and campaigned for me. I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bad choice with him. But if you pick Shapiro or anybody else, I spoke to him recently about his house being set on fire, which was terrible. But if they picked him, I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have all. We want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different, and I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody, and he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape. He said the most beautiful things about me, and he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Mr. President, I just want to clarify, did he raise any of these concerns with you privately before he raised them publicly? And this is the guy you put in charge of cutting spending. Should people not take him seriously about spending now? Are you saying this is all sour grapes?
No, he worked hard, and he did a good job. And I'll be honest, I think he misses the place. I think he got out there, and all of a sudden he wasn't in this beautiful Oval Office, and he's got nice offices too. But there's something about this one. I was telling the Chancellor, this is where it is. People come in here, even from Germany. They come in and they walk into the Oval Office, and it's just a special place. It's, World War I, it started and it ended here, and World War II, and so many other things. Everything big comes right from this beautiful space. It's now much more beautiful than it was 6 months ago. A lot of good things are happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly, and some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different, and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll let us know. Yeah.
Mr. President, speaking of ending wars.
And one thing I want to double back is after Trump was called out being on Epstein Island or being on the Epstein list, you had a lot of Trumpers trying to fight back. You had a lot of niggas asking questions. I feel like when he dropped that, Trump's team wasn't expecting. He went, Elon low-key went Kanye on that nigga, bro. He low-key blew that shit all the way up. It was like, nigga, I'm about to drop the bomb. And I feel like I don't think Trump, the White House, I don't think anybody was ready for Elon to say that. That was on some Kanye shit, bro. I ain't gonna lie. And Pam Bondi just going full North Korean for Trump,
I was just in Poland this morning
and arrived back not even 2 hours ago. And you have the respect of the entire world of law enforcement around this world. They respect all of you so much. Thank you for making all of us so proud on the worldwide stage. Trafficking. I was just
Elon writing, time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. Seems a Rubicon that Elon Musk has crossed. Elon writing,
It's okay. Yes. We're going to have a little discussion now, very private. And I just want to thank you all for being here. And thank you very much, media. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, what are your response to Elon Musk claiming about the Epstein files?
Mr. President. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Good job.
Yeah, now you can see they cut for audio. You know, Trump didn't answer questions, so it was crazy. It was how Trump didn't answer no questions, didn't do any interviews. This was like an emergency. Like this was an emergency situation that happened today. I don't think nobody was ready. I heard they called an emergency meeting at Oval Office today. Shit is hitting the fan. Trump's face was beat red. This situation is not just gonna die out overnight. And then we got, like I said, we got some Trumpers coming out here. Got some Trumpers speaking. It's like the same niggas who said, oh, it was supposed to be some 4D chess. Now he got to come back to there before he clocked down. He got to come back and eat crow and remix the remix. So let's play this.
Still love Trump, and I really like Elon. This is just a really crappy scenario right now, and I really hope these two can patch these things up, because I think Elon took a low blow by tweeting that, quote, DJT was on the Epstein client list. I mean, something that he knows can't be immediately verified. Also, if Trump was on that island doing something illegal, after all the legal battles that Biden threw at him, if he had done something illegal with Jeffrey Epstein, you would think they would have thrown that at him, no? They pulled out the stops on everything else. The only thing we can point to that was a known association with Epstein was that he was at his club once. And by the way, Trump kicked him out of that club because of reported bad behavior. And also, Elon, if you knew he was on the Epstein client list, why did you let him board Marine One with your son? Just asking. But the best thing for Trump to do now is to release the list, something that also our FBI and Pam Bondi have promised us. Still love Trump, and I really like Elon.
And then Stephen Miller, who's always running around speaking for the White House, he's one of, like, I feel like an attack dog. He was supposed to go on live today and speak, and he canceled the shit abruptly. He was like, "Hey, nigga, we gotta go. I got a meeting, nigga. We heads are rolling. I can't do it today." So this is them breaking this news.
We lost Mr. Miller to a meeting in the Oval Office. Perfectly understandable. When I was in government, it would happen all the time. You'd have to kill a TV show, and you're at the president's beck and call. However, we have the kindly Senator John Husted from the great state of Ohio, who at late notice is helping us out. And Senator Husted, I am most grateful for you to help us out on short notice. I want to thank you for it.
Who are your friends? Yeah. No one slept with my girlfriend, let's put it that way.
Oh, my word.
These guys are like roommates. They were living in close quarters for like the first 6 months of the year. They're just blowing off steam. Okay. The issue is donor maintenance. This guy's the mega donor. So you don't want him accusing you of being a pedophile, and you don't want him calling for your impeachment. I hope he doesn't mean that, but maybe they can patch things up. I mean, Vance called Trump Hitler, and he's on the ticket. Who are your friends? Yeah. No one slept with my girlfriend.
Yeah, man. Like they said, yo, Trevor, they've been saying, they said, hey, dog, that it could be allegedly the ketamine, bro. It could be that pink Tusi. Everybody with a bag off that pink Tusi, man. I thought it was just crushed down Adderall 30 milligrams, but no, this is that pink Tusi. and they on it. They popping it. They rocking and rolling. They slipping and sliding off the pink Tusi, man. It's taking the listen. Kanye, Diddy, Elon. That might be the billionaire drug. When you hit the billionaire, then I think you when the B comes, it's a fresh delivery of ketamine, pink Tusi that gets dropped off too, because everybody with a B is on this goddamn ketamine crashing out. The Democrats probably didn't throw the Epstein thing at Trump because they're probably on the island too. Yeah, everybody's on the island. Everybody's on the island getting jiggy. And just 3 months ago, 90 days ago, we had these niggas having their love fest.
He's become one of your, if you read and believe the media, he's become one of your best friends. He's working for free for you.
Well, I love the president. I just want to be clear about that.
I don't care about that. He's become one of your, if you read and believe the media, he's become one of your best friends. He's working for free for you.
Well, I love the president. I just want to be clear about that.
I don't care about that.
I know. I love the president.
You love the president.
I think President Trump is a good man, and he's, you know.
That's nice the way he said that. You know, there's something nice about it.
It really is. You know, because I mean, the president has been so unfairly attacked in the media. It's really outrageous. And I've at this point spent a lot of time with the president, and not once have I seen him do something that was mean or cruel or wrong. Not once.
He's going to go into orbit soon.
Okay. Yeah.
No, he's going to go to Mars. He's
Starlink
at some point.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is in
I mean, they always ask me, like, do you want to die on Mars? And I say, well, yes, but not on impact.
Starlink is in 100 countries.
Like, dude, I mean, I'm not saying dude is off that stuff because I'm not going to allege. And they say he has, I think, Asperger's syndrome or something like that. It's a lot of stuttering and jittering, man. I'm just saying, if he was black, if Elon Musk was a black guy, I think all the drug allegations would be a lot harder on if Elon Musk was a black guy. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, because he has a lot of tendencies that contradict sobriety. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, dog. That's all I'm saying. I don't even know what pink stuff's supposed to make you feel like. Must be feeling like E back in 98 before they start cutting the MDMA or something. I don't understand. Yeah, bro. I don't know about all that, man. We can't be talking about that this late night, man. Vouch for him as long as that's what I'm saying. I've never seen him do anything bad. Bro, you ain't been around him yet. I mean, come on, dog. You just sliced your goddamn pockets, nigga. That was something bad right there. And here we go. This is March. This is
with this horrible situation that happens.
That's
right. People, we're lucky to have. I have to tell you, I want to thank you all, and Elon, I want to thank you. I know you've been through a lot with this horrible situation that happens.
That's right. Saving America.
It's very unfair. What he is a patriot. Here's a man that I can tell you, he's a friend of mine. He's become a friend of mine. He supported me in the election. That's when I got to know him. Really, I knew him a little bit from the first term, but not much. But he's a patriot more than anything else. He's never, think of it, he has never asked me for a thing. He could have. I always say, I wonder if he's ever going to ask me for something. And that's always subject to change. And if it does change, I'll let you know about it. But Elon has never asked me for a thing. I mean, I got rid of the electric car mandate. I have no idea how that affects him, but possibly not good. I don't know. But he's never asked me for a thing. And I think that's an amazing tribute. I did get activated last week when I saw what they were doing. I said, he makes an incredible product, and we're going to go out and tell people you can't do that stuff and support him. They got to support him, because if he wasn't doing this, he wouldn't have any of these difficulties. And I think it's getting less and less. Pam has done a great job with regard to all of the, I mean, I know the kind of investigations that are going on. If she finds them, which she will, she already found 4 of them. But I think they're going to suffer very grave consequences, because they're really terrorists when you think about it. They're terrorists at a high level. And I think the people that are financing them, they could very well be people I know, people that you write about. But those people are in big trouble, so they better cut it out. But Elon's a patriot. We want to thank you very much for the job you're doing. Thank you very much.
Companies. he got death threats. Value in his companies, he got death threats. But ultimately, President Trump is the one who won the election. For Elon Musk to say, I won Trump this election, President Trump won all of the swing states. He is the first person in the Republican Party to win the popular vote in 20 years. He had the highest raw vote total of any Republican nominee ever in the history of the party, increased double digits over the last 4 years among Latinos, Black, and young people. No amount of money bought that. What bought that was a movement. And Elon Musk had to decide, I'm either going to fold into this or go away from this. And he chose to go away from this. I think it's a sad thing to see. I agree with you, Greg. I don't want to see the adults fighting, but I do think this was predictable.
Well, Harold, what are your Democrat friends saying about what looks like a breakup at the moment?
Value in his
things that we're doing, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And, you know, Elon's upset because we took the EV mandate and, you know, which was a lot of money for electric vehicles. And, you know, they're having a hard time, the electric vehicles, and they want us to pay billions of dollars in subsidy. And, you know, Elon knew this from the beginning. He knew it for a long time ago. That's been in there. That's been, I would say, JD, that hasn't changed. That's been right from the beginning. Mr. Secretary, that hasn't changed at all, right from the beginning. But I know that disturbed him. He wanted, and rightfully, you know, he recommended somebody from that he, I guess, knew very well. I'm sure he respected him, but to run NASA, and I didn't think it was appropriate. And he happened to be a Democrat, like totally Democrat. And I say, you know, look, we won. We get certain privileges, and one of the privileges, we don't have to appoint a Democrat. NASA is very important. We have great people. General Kane is going to be picking somebody with our, we'll be checking him out, seeing, but he wanted that person, a certain person, and we said no. And, you know, I can understand why he's upset.
There's three cars coming together at an intersection. That's a real untold story here, and I think we may be on a collision course. Like, I think there's three cars coming together at an intersection, and they don't realize they're going to hit. And one of them is Congress, with Mike Johnson driving, is in one of these cars. Trump obviously is one of these cars. Maybe he's the train. And then there's another car, which is Doge. And I don't think Elon Musk is going to suffer these fools once he finds out how foolish they are or duplicitous they are. You don't land rockets backwards. You don't get cars to drive themselves on the interstate by ignoring the fools that you're working with. That's a real untold story here, and I think we may be on a collision course.
And one thing I want to show you guys is, if you are Elon Musk, like that dude who's team Elon Musk, he thinks Elon Musk wrote the coordinates to land that rocket ship backwards. No, Elon Musk buys companies that's all right, back on. Yeah. Okay, cool. We're back on. Like I said before, bro, Elon Musk buys companies that are already working. He wasn't the genius that was behind Tesla, behind X, or behind SpaceX. He just buys into these things that are already successful. So you really can't give him props on that. But like I said, if you're team Elon, you think this nigga is the greatest invention since Thomas Edison. And if you team Trump, there's nothing anybody can say that is going to make you into a critical thinker. So right now you're seeing two fanboy parties with their feet digging in the sand. You have Team MAGA and you got Team Elon. You got the deep state versus MAGA right now. You got Hail Republicans versus Hail fucking I don't know who the hell Elon represents. South Africa, I don't know. But I think we need to deport him. It might be time. As none of these people have done anything in the best interest. I agree. Trump better watch shit. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And I don't want to hear, and I'm gonna be honest. I think niggas on Thought Crime said salute the Thought Crime, salute Prince Solomon, and these guys pretty much said something funny. They're like, why do these white Republicans say America first, and they have Indian wives, biracial wives. They don't have white wives. It's like a pro-black nigga saying they pro-black with a white woman. That was probably one of the funniest things I've heard. That we got all these niggas saying America first, and they ain't even with no white woman. But one of the craziest things I seen, and I was looking for it, I'm like, you know what? This has to be a distraction for something. Just like somebody said this was a distraction. I think it was, Carlton, when he said it was a distraction on a distraction. Well, when you said that, I started doing some research. I'm like, okay, what happened yesterday that would cause today? And lo and behold, what I found is that Iran, that's right, Iran just rejected the latest U.S. nuclear deal that vowed to accelerate uranium enrichment, bringing the world dangerously close to a nuclear flashpoint. Tensions erupted after Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, dismissed the U.S. proposal as an insult to Iranian sovereignty. Who are you? This is what the president, the supreme leader of Iran said. Or I want to say Iran. Who are you to decide whether Iran should have enrichment? Calling America's demands arrogant and 100% against our interests. The International Atomic Energy Agency confirms Iran now holds over 400 kgs of 60% enriched uranium, enough to build a nuclear bomb in just 3 weeks. President Trump is raising the stakes. He says Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, he said, revealing a 75-minute call with Putin to coordinate the next steps. Both leaders agreed to increase pressure on Tehran. If they don't back down, the bombs could start falling. Will diplomacy win, or will the world wake up with sirens and smoke? This could be the moment everything changes. So what really happened is Trump thought he was going to get a big, beautiful deal with Iran, and Iran said, nigga, we got the bag. We got what we need to have. Nigga, you ain't running nothing over here, okay? The old price ain't the old price, okay? And we ain't running nothing. I'm telling you, bro, listen. A white America needs a white Umar. That is crazy, man. They thought Trump was a white Umar Johnson. That was a problem. That was a problem. You can't be anybody. Listen, I'm gonna keep it a buck. What America got to understand is this: people are playing race against America because they know America is a racist place. So there's gonna be race baiting, but nobody understands that race baiting goes on. I mean, I was telling Trevor Jackson on the phone, I think last week, that on Starport sometimes, if I'm cooking too much on pro-black topics, I'm gonna go ahead and troll and say some anti-black shit just so the pro-blacks can don't rally around me. Don't think I'm gonna grift. Don't just because you may agree with me today, don't mean you're gonna agree with me tomorrow. I don't want to be no hero. I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to be another victim of the pro-black grift to benefit off of the black struggle and the black hope, because I see too many people doing that, and I think it's disgusting. And white people do it too. That's why you got Trump. That's why you got the America First people. You got the grifters. You got the Matt Walsh of the world. You got the Nick Fuentes of the world. You got niggas with Spanish last names talking like they're pro-white, and nobody can see the grift because everybody likes to be in their own echo chamber. But we're gonna go ahead and play the real situation that we're all being distracted to. You gotta switch it up on niggas. You gotta remind niggas, I'm not your friend. I'm not here to liberate you niggas. I'm here to get a check. And once that check is cut, I'm selling everybody out. We snitching, we dropping dimes, nickels, and quarters. We pulling the rug up on the motherfuckers. We all that on Charleston White time, nigga. I'm turning, my first name will be my middle name, and my last name we will be the first. It's all types of shit is gonna go on when I switch up on niggas. I tell them quick. Don't believe the grift. But we're going to go ahead and, like I said, get to the real news that caused this huge distraction today. So let me go ahead and remove
sovereign countries' affairs, barring Iran has rejected the US nuclear deal, vowing to continue uranium enrichment. This in from the Daily Caller. Iran rejected a US proposed nuclear deal on Wednesday, vowing to continue enriching uranium while negotiations appear to be stalling after 5 rounds of talks, according to Reuters. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei rejected a US offer in a Wednesday speech, shooting down a deal that would have required Iran to halt uranium enrichment on its soil and give up its current stockpiles of weapons-grade uranium, Reuters reported. On Monday, reports emerged indicating that the US would allow Iran to enrich civilian-grade uranium. President Donald Trump contradicted those reports later Monday when he posted to Truth Social that the Trump administration, quote, will not allow any enrichment of uranium, end quote, in a prospective agreement. Quote, uranium enrichment is the key to our nuclear program, and the enemies have focused on the enrichment, Khamenei said in the speech, according to Reuters. Quote, the proposal that Americans have presented is 100% against our interests. The rude and arrogant leaders of America repeatedly demand that we should not have a nuclear program, end quote. He further added, who are you to decide whether Iran should have enrichment? Iran's stockpile of 60% weapons-ready uranium has grown to 408.6 kilograms, according to a confidential IAEA report viewed by Reuters on Saturday, they say. Moreover, Iran is believed to have the capacity to make a nuclear weapon in roughly 3 weeks with its current stockpiles of suitable enriched uranium, the IAEA stated in February. Quote, senior advisor and special envoy Witkoff sent a detailed and acceptable proposal to the Iranian regime, and it's in their best interest to accept it, the State Department spokesperson said in a statement to the Daily Caller News Foundation. Quote, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. The president also clearly said that he will not allow any uranium enrichment. Beyond that, it is not in our national interest to negotiate these issues publicly. Trump pursued a, quote, maximum pressure approach against Iran in his first term, instituting economic sanctions and playing hardball on Iranian nuclear aspirations. In his second term, his administration has worked to find a mutually agreeable deal with Iran, but Trump has also warned that he will take more aggressive measures if the Iranian regime does not quickly make progress towards an agreement. Here is a previous Reuters article from the 30th of March this year. Trump threatens bombing if Iran does not make nuclear deal. It says here clearly, quote, if they don't make a deal, there will be bombing, Trump said in a telephone interview. It will be bombing the likes of which they have never seen before. This just in from Donald Trump on Truth Social. Quote, I just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and on this, I believe that we were in agreement. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion that Iran has been slow-walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. Whilst many may agree with the statement, what right does any country have to intervene in any other sovereign country's affairs, barring extreme humanitarian circumstances? In this case, the argument is nuclear enrichment, and to what level should that be undertaken by another country in this day and age? Iran, or any country for that matter, may wish to pursue nuclear enrichment for nuclear power, to power their country, to keep the lights on, to keep businesses going, for heating and cooling, and so on. It's very cheap to run, and by today's climate standards, it's very clean. Who wouldn't want that? Many countries are having this discussion right at this very moment. However, many feel that the West and other countries' concerns of Iran attaining or enriching uranium past the point of just electricity and to the point of nuclear weapons is justified. In 2025, with many countries squabbling and bickering, to say the least, and many being on the verge of serious conflict, superpower countries like the US should play some role in enforcing and implementing measures to mitigate the potential for countries to create world-destroying weapons. It is a serious conundrum the world is in, because if a war breaks out with Iran, then you're talking potential Russian involvement, Chinese involvement, new enemies created in the span of hours that could lead to worldwide destruction. The key here is really either everyone has a nuclear weapon or nobody has a nuclear weapon. Discussions to roll back nuclear stockpiles across all countries around the world have been considered for years now, and some countries did. But then you have secret underground programs, countries not adhering to agreements. We also have the biological warfare variable to throw into the mix, which from a destruction perspective could be as bad, maybe even worse than nuclear bombs. And if there was a country or group that would take control of mitigating the use or stockpiling of nuclear weapons, who would that be? Could they be trusted? The bottom line here is, with all of the complexities of this situation, it's been clear for a long time that the powers that be want a world war. They need it, in fact. Economies are failing, demands for accountability over COVID crimes haven't stopped. People are far too politically involved for them to pull the wool over our eyes about anything anymore, really. And when all else fails, go to war. In a world where political differences and cultural conflicts have reached an irreversible threshold, cool heads must prevail. The lines of discussion must be opened and always kept open, and ultimately, the people need to be demanding peace from their leaders. No new wars means no new wars. We want to see that promise kept. Are you protected in a world where threats of EMPs, solar flares, 5G, and all types of EMF are interfering with our very existence? Escape the grid with Escape Zone, bringing you the highest quality Faraday technology for ultimate preparedness. Choose when and where your devices are detectable. Faraday bags protect you from EMPs, car theft, card and device skimming, identity theft, tracking, Bluetooth, and GPS. Choose from premium mobile Faraday bags, crossbody bags, laptop bags, and even women's handbags, or opt for the ultimate protection with a ballistic backpack.
And I want to, hey man, that's what I'm saying, bro. Hey, 2025, it's getting real. And we also got some footy I want to show you guys, because Steve Bannon, I'm gonna be honest. If somebody asks me what side of the political spectrum I'm staying on when it comes to like Trump, I'll be honest, bro. Nick Fuentes, Steve Bannon, Tom Homan, but really Steve Bannon, Nick Fuentes. I know you're like, wow, oh my God, you listen to these guys? I listen to them like I watch Fox News. If you grew up with a black dad or a granddad or uncle or something like that, they probably taught you got to watch CNN and Fox News. You got to watch the far right and the far left. You got to know what the right, you got to know what the left hand and the right hand is thinking. So I say that because when I'm watching, Steve Bannon, or I'm watching Nick Fuentes, they say a lot about the Republican Party and a lot about Trump's cabinet, that the Trumpers, the MAGA, the super pro-Republicans that just sign over on anything, like they'll call out Alex Jones, they call out, like I said, the Matt Walsh of the world, they call out Tucker Carlson's of the world. And I'm saying this because just because somebody's on the right, just because somebody's a Republican, doesn't mean everybody agrees. And there's always truth in the things you may dislike or the things you may disagree with. So you got to find a little bit of truth, or you got to find a splintered part of the eye that people may be able to see, but their message may be suppressed or may not be popular within the party. And I'm going to say that because we got this clip by Steve Bannon, and he called this out 2 years ago. And we're going to play this clip. So hold on, give me a second. Salute to everybody in the chat, man. Like I said, dog, we got some people in here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. We got to watch everybody, bro. I don't believe people I don't watch one thing, I don't watch the other. Than how you going to get the full scope of what's going on and what's coming down the pipeline. And yeah, hey, that new Weezy did just drop. And I'm be honest, I don't give a fuck. And I love Lil Wayne. He's cool. But somebody gonna have to tell me this album was fire. This album was like the Carter 6 or something. I mean, the Carter 5. Every Carter to me never disappointed. But but hey, Trevor, now you know what you're doing, Trevor Jackson. You see, this some nigga shit, man. See, this what happened. We trying to put niggas on geopolitical politics and let niggas know that the distraction was Iran, and here you dropping nigga news talking about, Weezy just dropped an album. So you want us to get off geopolitical topics? You want us to be like, hey, dog, don't worry about Iran getting nuclear weapons. Don't worry about none of that. Don't worry about Trump and Elon saying these niggas on ketamine and other motherfuckers talking on Epstein Island. Nah, put that new Wayne album on. Dog, we gonna have to go live on that Wayne album this weekend, man. Me and you, J Doug, gotta go live on this Wayne album. But today we gotta really button this shit down. The weekend, I know it's Friday technically, but it ain't Friday yet. We gotta really bucker down and get these niggas some political news, because that's what's going on right now. And the next clip we got, like I said, is Steve Bannon telling niggas 2 years ago Elon Musk is crazy and he gonna try to finesse his way into the White House. Y'all better watch out. So this is Steve Bannon right here.
Oh yeah, no. He's owned by the Chinese. On there. Oh yeah, no. He's owned by the Chinese Communist Party. What are you talking about? Tesla. His only thing of real value is Tesla. He uses it for margin loans. He sells the stock. The Shanghai joint venture is 100% controlled by the CCP. This is why he never goes after the CCP. This is why he always backs off. This is when they had the protest. They had the protest about the lockdowns of COVID. He will not do it. Elon Musk is a total and complete phony. He is in bed in a business partner. He's done some good stuff, letting stuff out, with Taibbi and others. It's fine. But he is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the Chinese Communist Party, and he acts like it.
There was a story recently that they warned him to stop talking about lab leak.
100%.
He's got, I think there was
They want him to take down the tweets he did the first time. Now, he didn't take them down, but you notice he didn't have any more up there after that.
And I wonder if he said, okay, I won't tweet more about it. But here's the issue I see with the CCP in the United States, and if the United States falters, if this fourth.
By the way, the CCP Chinese companies are all in the Silicon Valley.
Oh yeah,
that's another thing they're already talking about. We think maybe up to a third of those innovative companies may be CCP.
I'm reminded of the scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie.
Great movie.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care. You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Seriously, are we trolling? Are we trolling? Does he not sound like somebody that might be on something? Does he not sound like somebody like he didn't even say nothing? Why does an amount of money skew our brains to think somebody's intelligent when they're clearly sound? So what I'm getting from the American people is if you have enough money, you can sound like you're borderline drooling, and we're going to try to make up what you said, and we're going to try to make what you said make sense. This is retarded. This is retarded. I'm just being completely honest, man. This is stupid. We got some more footage right now. We got, like I said, man, Steve Bannon, today was the day he's like, I told you niggas. This was Steve Bannon's I told you niggas day. And we got another footage I'm about to roll right here with Steve Bannon. He's going crazy. Hold on. Hey man, I understand, bro. Like I said, dog, when some nigga shit go down, we got to get on it. But like I said, dog, right now, with how this news broke, X today was probably one of the biggest days on Twitter. X, like top 10, top 15 days. So we got the Steve Bannon clip, man. Steve Bannon, this nigga having a field day with I told you so. So let me make sure this is the right one. Is it? Yeah. Hold on.
Fanboys that still exist. He doesn't know anything. He's a know-it-all. He knows some engineering. Don't get me wrong. I give a hat tip for that. But he doesn't know anything about the real world. Doge was, and for any fanboys that still exist, while you're wrapping up in your cape tonight, understand on Doge, he didn't find any fraud. There's plenty of fraud out there. This was President Trump's first complaint. Was this all BS, right? With the Doge. the action that President Trump should be taking immediately, I think, when he threatens to take one of the big programs out of SpaceX, President Trump tonight should sign an executive order calling for the Defense Production Act to be called in SpaceX and seize SpaceX tonight before midnight. He doesn't know anything. He's a know-it-all. He knows some engineering. Don't get me wrong. I give a hat tip for that, but he doesn't know anything about the real world.
Oh, okay. Does anybody, can y'all hear me? We got audio. Hold on. We got audio. We got audio. Let me know if we got audio. Carlton, you said we ain't got no audio. Hold on. All right. That's one niggas. Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure we got some audio. Who's Daphne George? Oh, we about to play it. We about to play Daphne George shit real quick. Y'all want to switch over to Diddy News? That little CNN lady looking. Man, hold on. All right. Give me a second. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. Bet. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let me stop that screen. And it's funny because I got the whole Diddy thing pretty much. I can't read. Okay, cool. I got pretty much the Diddy shit locked up already. So let me go ahead and share screen. Hold on. Good thing I recorded all this shit earlier, but hold on, we going. Hold on, we're going. We got it. All right. Let me present. Bow. All right. Hold on. Invite guest. Share screen. Here we go, y'all. Here we go. All right. Let me know if you guys hear the video. All right. Let me know if you guys hear the video.
But we also heard the defense grill the woman who claims Combs dangled her off. Jurors. That and more with Law and Crime's in-court reporter Elizabeth Milner. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey everybody, this is another Law and Crime legal alert. If you received Depo-Provera birth control shots and were later diagnosed with a brain or spinal tumor called meningioma, you may be eligible for a lawsuit. That's right, Morgan & Morgan is investigating claims that patients weren't properly warned about this risk. It's free to check, just takes a few minutes, and you don't pay unless they win. So scan the QR code on screen, click the link below or head over to Tony in the Sean Diddy Combs criminal trial. You had alleged victim 2, Jane, take the stand, arguably the second most important witness in this case behind Cassandra Ventura, alleged victim number 1, because she makes up individual sex trafficking and transportation to engage in prostitution charges. She helps support the racketeering charge. But you had also the defense really grill a key witness, a woman who claims she was dangled off of a 17-story balcony by Combs. But with the defense cross-examining her, the question becomes, is that true? And the judge, by the way, was none too happy with how Combs was behaving in court. So a lot to get into. We're going to get into it all right now. Let me bring on Law and Crime's in-court reporter, Elizabeth Milner. Elizabeth, so good to see you. Thanks so much for taking the time. As always, I want to get right into the continued cross-examination of Brianna Bungolan. The cross-examination continued by Nicole Westmoreland. This is a key witness. She had testified to being dangled by Sean Combs off of a 17-story balcony. It goes to the pattern of abuse of women for racketeering. If Cassie had seen this or knew about it, it goes to the idea of coercion in sex trafficking. Look at the environment Cassie was around, the violence she was around. Did she really consent to freak-offs when Combs is around doing all these things? And Bungolan also talked about distributing drugs to Cassie. And
says September 30th is a capture date of the screenshot, right? Santos says yes. Says thank you. Judge says next witness. So that really doesn't prove anything. It kind of says, yo, the date that they were getting this woman for lying about it went down, maybe happened on another date, but she's also testifying to the date that they presented to her, which is September 26th, which also I think the prosecutors in pretrial presented to her. So I think that was a nothing burger. I ain't gonna lie to you. All right, let's go. Jane Doe said this time we call Jane. Here come. Jane Doe comes in. Okay. They said, could we confirm that the exhibit screens are off? So they are. It says Jane takes the stand. It says inner city press ain't describing her physical appearance. Sidebar. We know who's going to describe the appearance. Sidebar. We know. So where did you grow up? California. Chat, write these down. She from Cali. What's your level of college? Junior college, then modeling. She's a model. With whom did you have a relationship from 2021 to 2024? Sean Puff Daddy Combs. This might be, hold on. Jane Doe might be Young Miami. This might be Young Miami. I might have to call Southside. Southside's your girl on the stand snitching. Or your baby mom's on the South. 2021 to 2024. It could be 50 Cent baby moms. Oh, shit. Here we go. Sean.
And I'm only pausing this because somebody asked who's Daphne Drew, who's this person. Academics about to pop it out now.
Puff Daddy, the freak off coordinator, Combs. What did you call him? I call him Sean. I call him Baby. I call him Ernie. Why'd you call him Ernie? We did that because I was burnt. Let's Google that, chat. Chat, again, we're not trying to find nobody. Let me see. Ernie, Diddy. Let's figure it out. Ernie and Diddy. Ernie. So Diddy was Ernie? Who was Ernie? Ernie was Diddy. Who, do we have any video of somebody calling Diddy Ernie? Who calls Diddy Ernie? Let's find it. We on the prowl. Who called Diddy Ernie? This might be Meek Mill. We don't know. Nah, but it ain't Meek because it says Jane, not John. So it is a woman. This is a woman. Why Ernie? We did that. I was Bert. When did you meet him? On a girl's trip to Miami, 2020. He was dating my friend. Ooh, that's T. That's T. That's T. That's T. So Diddy date your friend, and you look at Diddy like, I'm about to take this nigga from my friend. Typical girl stuff. It's typical girl shit. Chat, what we rocking with? He was really funny and nice. We went on a yacht. We got to be on this. This is what we do. We do this every day. Hold on.
Yeah, V here. Uploaded it. I'm so honored that she has a new boo. Over intimate details and things. How long have you known Diddy?
I've known him for 5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
Do you mind telling me what year did you meet him?
I met him February 2014. Well,
okay, that's not her. That's not her. Here we go. We getting to it. Young Miami, you in the crosshairs. I just rolled over my Wendy's. All right, so she's not her. Young Miami, this could be you. Young Miami, is this you? Let's go look at Young Miami's story. Has she tweeted recently? Young Miami. Has Young Miami start twerking that fat ass BBL? Okay, can't be her. Yeah, she know people. She knew people were gonna thought it was her. She's posting like it's going out of style. Okay. Yeah, why bitches that get surgery be acting like they working out? Like, I hate this shit. You know the surgery created the body. It ain't no. She taking real professional pictures. Camera's usually a little bit more. Choose with the nigga I got a kid with. So how many kids you got? One. We already know. Oh my God, chat. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's 50's baby mom, who is Jane Doe. Wow. It's Daphne Joy. Wow. Yo, Fifth, I know you embarrassed today. When you find out the girl that you put a baby in went to become a concubine for another nigga, is getting into freak off. She's the replacement of the replacement, the new draft recruit that's replacing Cassie and Gina in the freak offs. That's embarrassing. You elevated her to a baby mom. She turned into a concubine back again. Listen, You can't stop a hoe. That's a fact. Many great men have tried, but a hoe always gonna be a hoe. Not saying this woman's a hoe, so don't sue me, because I got lawyers and I got money. Don't worry about it, okay? Maybe not 50 money, but don't play with me. Anyway, damn. How many children you got? One. What did Sean say about his relationship? He said he was only my friend. He said it wasn't really a real relationship. Oh, shit, I can't see it. Hold on, here we go. Holy chat. What did you do? We made a lot of love. Oh, we don't want to hear that. Oh, nah. Oh, nah. Sidebar. Somebody call a sidebar. What? We made a lot of love. We walked on the beach. Later, we went on a first date. We dressed up. Restaurant. I was head over heels. How you stay in contact? Text. You ever travel with him? Turks and Caicos. Let's see it. Let's see it. Daphne Joy. Diddy. Turks and Caicos. No. 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 Hold on. By the way, I want to tell y'all this. Let me tell y'all how the game is played. You see, all y'all niggas who said, yo, 50 about to go up on Cam because Cam asked that question. Let me keep it real with y'all, chat. I'm in this media shit for 15 years. I'm a goddamn veteran. Who you think told Cam to ask the fucking question? Who you think told him? Say less. If you 50 a smart motherfucker, trust. Let's see if we can figure this out. Where's the Turks and Caicos? We got to find them in Turks. We got to find them in Turks, chat. This is them in Star Island, but we want to find them in Turks. Because somebody find them in Turks. Find Diddy and 50 baby mama in Turks. She said, I was excited. I never been to Turks. So who else went in 2021? Christina Karam, the chef, the butler, and 1 point a barber. Oh, 50 is, Diddy is cold. He wanted to fuck 50's baby mama just to let that nigga know. You punked me back in the day, but I'm punching dick, hard dick in your bitch's stomach. Here we go. Let's see. Christina, the thing is she don't got no Instagram though. Christina Karam is like, she's like Desiree Perez, my nigga. Like, she's like mad, like, ooh, like it's like boogeyman shit. Oh my God. Christina Karam, Turks. Like she don't got no Instagram or nothing like that. So we can't even find her. You know, if it was like regular women that went, they would have took pictures of that trip. Okay. How long did you stay? 9 days in Turks. That's a whole lot of fucking, chat. 6 days in the Bahamas. So we're going to play a video. Jane says, I took that video. So what we see? That's the villa. That was the vibes. What did you tell Sean? I told him, you don't got a problem that I'm a single mother, right? On social media. I'm actually a content creator. Let's go to Daphne Joy Instagram. Oh, nah. Does she call herself a content creator? I know she don't. I know she don't. Maybe she do. What is this? What is this bullshit right here? Oh, nah. She might think she creating content. Oh, nah. You know, even the OnlyFans model thinks they're a content creator. So, okay. Let's see. Let's see. What was your work? I was advertising brands on social media.
So I'm going to pause that. I'm going to pause that only because, like I said, somebody asked me who Daphne Joy was. So I wanted, because I don't think Law and Crime or anybody else like broke down who she was. That was 50 Cent's baby mom, because I think they're probably more like legally inclined to protect people who fall under Jane Doe's. So we're definitely going to go ahead and just continue with Law and Crime, so we can finally get like more of a professional recap on what's going on with this case. So here we go. Let me go ahead and put this on the screen.
Used during all of this. So Westmoreland really dug in today, and my understanding is she started talking Bongolan didn't leave.
Yeah, and so when they continued Brianna, aka Bonna's cross this morning, exhibits to kind of show her. So, for example, we saw one exhibit. It was an exhibit we had seen while Brianna or Bonna had been testifying under direct, where it showed Cassie and the friend of hers named Bad Boy. Bad Boy spelled with an I, no relation to Diddy's Bad Boy, none of that. The photo is from April 24th of 2016 with the caption "Best Dressed Photographer." And so this was the exact same day that Bonna had accused Diddy of threatening to kill her, saying something along the lines of, "I'm the devil, I could kill you." And so Bonna says it was on or around this day where Diddy had threatened her. So I think what the defense was trying to kind of point out is maybe the dates were wrong. Maybe this didn't happen on this particular day. But then we saw another exhibit photo from May 10th of 2016 from Bonna to Cassie. It's a photo of drugs. Now, Bonna, while she was on the stand today, couldn't say or even remember necessarily what type of drug it specifically was, but just kind of looking at the photo, it definitely was a crystallized substance of something. It kind of had like a brownish, whitish color. I don't want to presume what it was, but you could tell it was definitely drugs, and it was photographed next to a dime. And so Nicole Westmoreland asked Bonna, "You would agree that this was taken after Diddy threatened you?" And Bonna replied, "True. You went on as business as usual with Miss Ventura, aka Cassie." And Bonna replied, "Yes." Then we saw another exhibit photo from May 31st of 2016, and I think it was a text that accompanied with the line of "Can I get an amen?" But the photo that went with this particular text message from Bonna to Cassie, again, it was a photo showing drugs, I think in her hand or in somebody's hand. And it was drugs like pills that were blue and white. Also, you could see like a powdery white substance. Brianna couldn't verify what particular drugs were in that little baggie that the picture was taken with, but Nicole Westmoreland asked, "You told us at the end of April 2016 that Mr. Combs had threatened your life, but you continued dealing with Cassie. You weren't too scared to do that, were you?" And Brianna replied, "I guess not." And so I think what the defense was trying to point out is even through allegations of threats to Bonna from Diddy or anything like that, that still she continued to have these relationships with Cassie, that she would show up back to Cassie's apartment, the very apartment where she was allegedly dangled from that 17th story balcony. And so I think the defense was trying to be pretty effective as far as being like, well, even though you were scared of Diddy, even though you say you were threatened by him and that you were terrified of him and fearful of him, that you still continued hanging out and dealing with his girlfriend.
And weren't there a lot of texts? I mean, texts in this case, my gosh, whatever witness you want to talk about, whether it's Mia with social media posts or her text to Combs or Cassie Ventura's text, they're being used to show there's another side of the story, that if you really claim you're the victim of this tormentor and this victim of this sex trafficker, why are you writing praising texts of him? Why are you saying you love him? Why are you encouraging freak-offs or trying to set them up? What were the text messages that Ms. Bongolan was confronted with today?
Yeah, we saw a number of text exhibits. So, for example, we saw an exhibit from October 8th of 2016. It was a text message between Cassie, Bonna, and I believe Deontay, where Cassie had asked them, "You ladies want to come over, have wine, smoke, cooking, sleep over tonight?" And I'm just kind of paraphrasing here. And I believe it was Deontay that had replied, "I was just about to hit you, LOL." And then Bonna responds, "Yeah, we can at like 8. And so Nicole Westmoreland asked, "So you were willing to go back again to that exact same place where this incident had happened, where Diddy allegedly dangled Bonna from that 17th story ledge off of Cassie's condo?" And Bonna replied, "Yeah." And so then we saw another exhibit photo. It was text between Bonna and Cassie. These ones from October 10th of 2016, where, and again, always paraphrasing here, Cassie in this particular message had wrote, "Coolio, what are you and Friday hungry for?" And Friday was Bonna's then girlfriend. I believe her real name is Sarah, but she had gone by Friday. But then Bonna had responded, "Cool, hit you up later, love ya, Puff wants some." And so when she was talking about this particular Puff wants some, or P wants some, as she had put in this particular message, the defense was trying to point out, okay, well, what are you trying to get P, aka Diddy, as far as a sweatshirt or a t-shirt from, I guess, their clothing line? And so Nicole Westmoreland was like, so you're asking if he wants a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. And then Bonna replied, well, we had that FaceTime call after the incident. I was trying to be cool. And then Nicole Westmoreland is like, well, didn't you tell the government during the FaceTime call that you didn't talk about the balcony incident? And then Bonna responds that she doesn't remember. So then we saw an exhibit photo from October 15th of 2016. So just a couple days after Cassie and Bonna had talked, and Bonna was asking if Puff wanted a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. Diddy actually messaged Bonna, and again, paraphrasing here because those text messages go pretty quick, where Diddy said something along the lines of, when friends get high with each other, they're not supposed to let friends F up. And then he had said something like, that's real whack. And then Nicole Westmoreland is like, well, didn't Mr. Combs want you to stop doing drugs with Cassie? Something that they alluded to when Cassie was testifying. And Bonna responded, it was confusing with just everything going on. And so it seemed like she didn't kind of necessarily know why Diddy was texting her and calling her whack and referring to her as being kind of a whack friend and effing up and that type of thing. But it seemed like the defense really was trying to use her own words and her own messages against her. The defense was kind of teasing up this message because they wanted to get it in front of the jury. And it seems like they were able to do that, especially with the whole that Bonna was allegedly real whack for giving Cassie drugs, and something must have happened with the incident of the drugs too.
Yeah, so a couple of things there, right? I mean, if she was dangled off a 17-story balcony, the jury could say, I think it's kind of odd she's asking if he wants a sweatshirt 2 weeks later. If he's really this sex trafficker and this violent individual who is supplying people with drugs to make them more compliant for sexual episodes, why the concern? Why the concern about the drug use here? And this is what makes this not a clean prosecution. And I understand that was only the beginning, because Elizabeth, didn't they also really grill her about her lawsuit, the civil suit that she filed against Sean Combs? And it really concerned also the lawyer that she had at one point, who apparently she fired and then retained new counsel, which goes into this whole complexity of, was she making legitimate allegations, or were legitimate allegations being made on her behalf? What did they talk about with the lawsuit?
So the lawsuit, which I've read, I've covered this story when it was first filed just last year. And so the defense really kind of got into it with Bonna about this. And so Nicole Westmoreland was like, so you aren't saying that Cassie saw this? And then Bonna is like, well, I don't know. You have to ask her, but I heard her voice. Nicole Westmoreland is like, well, you said you hurt your leg and your neck and your back and you have nightmares and night terrors. You said the injuries in your demand letter weren't accurate. You said that Mr. Combs groped your breast. That was in your letter sent by Tyrone Blackburn, who again, Bonna said that she fired after he was getting information wrong that was sent in the demand letter, but also notably, he's an attorney who represents Little Rod Jones, who also is suing Diddy too. But as far as Nicole Westmoreland, during her line of questioning, she was like, well, is this true or not? And Bonna responds, that's incorrect, about her breasts being groped to the point that it had left bruises on her body. She's asked, you reviewed your lawsuit. Your new civil lawyer said the exact same thing. And Bonna responds, I'm aware. Well, you told the government that Diddy or Puffy grabbed your breast. And then Brianna said, well, I told them where he placed his hands. Then Nicole Westmoreland is like, well, on January 18th of 2024, during your first meeting with the government, you never mentioned that Mr. Combs grabbed your breast. And then Brianna responds, I don't remember. Nicole Westmoreland asked, well, isn't it true your lawyer, that being Tyrone Blackburn at the time, started that rumor and that wasn't true, but you still continued knowing that it wasn't true and you kept on repeating it, even though you knew it wasn't true? And Bonna responds, I can't speak for him, so I'm having a hard time answering. And she was really kind of struggling this morning to kind of answer the questions, to the point where Nicole Westmoreland really kind of had to ask her the same questions in just different forms and fashions. And there were lots of responses of just long pauses, or I can't really speak for this particular person, or I'm having a hard time answering. And then she would ask kind of multiple times, can you re-say it? Can you rephrase this question? And then Nicole Westmoreland just comes out and is like, well, did you believe the only way to file the lawsuit was to say that Mr. Combs sexually assaulted you? And then Bonna responds, I don't recall. And so I think maybe there was a lot of apprehension in just Bonna's answers from today, but I feel like the defense was really kind of pointing out and really kind of showing to the jury that Bonna doesn't necessarily remember all the details, but she's still staying firm that this balcony incident happened, but then the details are wrong, the allegations are wrong. Sometimes in one letter, the dates are wrong, in another letter, the dates are this. And so I think like, especially towards the end of her cross-examination today, they really kind of honed in on when did this happen, and are you sure that this incident did happen? It seemed like that's kind of where the questioning was leading up to, especially towards the end of her cross.
And didn't they also confront her with receipts, hotel receipts, to say, you claim Sean Combs is in one location when he might have been in a completely different location?
And so I am myself a receipts-proof timeline type of girl, and that's kind of an ode to Real Housewives. But they did kind of confront Bonna with the receipts and the proof. And so Bonna was alleging that this incident happened on September 26th or 25th of 2016. However, we see one exhibit photo. It's from the Trump Hotel. It's kind of a receipt from a hotel stay, and it was for Frank Black, who we now know was an alias that Diddy was using. And the arrival shows on this particular document that the arrival of Sean Combs, aka Frank Black, was on September 24th of 2016, and he stayed all the way until September 29th of 2016. And so even prior to us seeing this particular exhibit and this particular document, Nicole Westmoreland was asking Brianna, you worked on the Bad Boy tour. Do you remember Cassie and Diddy schedule during this time? Did you know that Mr. Combs was performing on September 25th of 2016? And that even he and Miss Ventura, who we know as Cassie, were in New Jersey at certain parts of this. And then Brianna is responding, I can't recall. And then Nicole Westmoreland asked, are you aware on September 26th of 2016 that Cassie and Diddy were at this charity event, and then Diddy later went to this other event? And Brianna responds, I don't know. And so while we're seeing this exhibit, we do see charges, including charges for breakfast on September 25th of 2016 and on September 26th of 2016, as well as September 27th of 2016, where you can see purchases for in-room breakfast for $210.31, $107.84, $102.77, and $344 for this breakfast, which is a lot of money for a breakfast. But when you're somebody like Sean Combs, I feel like that's probably chump change to him. But at the end of this kind of line of questioning, then Nicole Westmoreland asked, well, you agree that one person can't be at the same place at the same time? And then it seemed like the defense, they were alleging, because Bono testified that this incident happened on September 26th of 2016, where you can see from this particular document that Diddy wasn't even in Los Angeles around this time period. He was actually here in New York at the Trump Hotel during this particular time frame. And so I was kind of wondering to myself, why wasn't that just the first line of questioning? But I feel like towards the end, it might have been pretty effective, because if you're seeing this particular receipt, then there's possibly no way to prove that this might have happened on this particular day.
You know, look, I could see where the defense is saying you don't remember these details. How on earth can that be? But I imagine when she was questioned again on redirect by the prosecution, you know, they could say it's a traumatic episode. You might not remember the dates, the details, but it happened. And aren't they backed up with photographs of her injuries? I mean, was there a way the defense tried to argue against that? Was that something that the prosecution really focused in on redirect? I mean, what did the prosecution do to try to rehabilitate or clean up her testimony? And also, did the defense say anything about the photographs of the injuries?
Well, I'll take the second part of your question first, where the defense did kind of bring out Bonna's injuries. And I remember yesterday saying, like, these were really kind of gnarly injuries that you could see. It was really of a bruised leg, it had a little hole poked in it, but they brought that photo out again. And so this was of Bonna's injured leg. It's from September 26th of 2016. And we see the metadata of this photo that was taken, and it's at 9:45 a.m. And Bonna is asked about this metadata from this photo. And so Diddy, you can see, is kind of nodding during this time frame, because that's when the defense kind of segued into that Diddy was on tour during this time frame, and that he was even in Los Angeles. He was over in New York or New Jersey, just on the opposite side of the country. And so then Nicole Westmoreland, towards the very, very end of her cross, is like, Mr. Combs didn't cause the injuries from the photos we saw. And Bonna responds, I can't agree with you. Then we see that exhibit photo again of the bruise on Bonna's leg and that hole, particularly in that bruise. And then Nicole Westmoreland's like, you came in here and you lied. And Bonna ends her cross-examination by saying at the end, I can't agree with you. And so I felt like when the redirect happened, Bonna kind of confirmed that she didn't see the government's meeting notes, which is something that a lot of witnesses have testified to, because the defense during their cross-examination, which began yesterday and continued into today, they were really kind of throwing her meeting notes at her when she told the prosecution these allegations on what specific meetings that she had had with them, and that Bonner had explained that she never checked these particular documents for any type of accuracy. Then Bonner says that the only conversations that she had with Cassie, as far as Cassie's lawsuit goes, was just about Cassie using Bonner's name in her lawsuit, which she didn't want to happen. Bonner didn't want her name to be used in Cassie's now settled lawsuit. And so Bonner was asked, were you and Cassie trying to make up this story or tell Cassie what had happened to you? And then that was kind of an objection. It was sustained. Then Bonner is asked by the prosecution, do you have any doubts that Mr. Combs held you up on the balcony? And Bonner responds, I have no doubts. She is asked, did you tell Cassie that you were going to file a lawsuit? Bonner says no. Are you getting money today to testify? And why are you here today? Bonner says no, and she's here today, testifying today and even yesterday, to get justice, something that she had said a couple times during her testimony. Then she's asked by the prosecution, do you remember every single detail from the balcony incident? Bonner says no. How did you feel when he held you on the balcony? I was terrified, she says. Bonner confirms that the balcony incident did happen, and she spoke about this during every government meeting. And so it seemed that from her perspective, she was really adamant that this particular incident did happen, but she just wasn't clear about what date it had actually happened.
So I think the jury might have a field day trying to make sense of that testimony. I don't think it's arguably the strongest witness for the prosecution. And then we go into when she leaves the stand, wasn't an exhibit put up that caused a little bit of a stir?
Yeah, there was. And so this was an exhibit from March 25th of 2024. It was kind of one of those stipulations between the parties about the Okalaka airport, but it was about the particular data that was extracted, this one particularly from Christina Quorum's phone. And so you see these text messages between Cassie and Christina Quorum, and Cassie says, hey, I just found out something crazy. He came into my house while my friends were here. We were sleeping. He went to Bonner, choked her, and dangled her feet off the balcony. Christina Quorum responds, what? And Cassie says, I have to stay away. And so the government really wanted to introduce this piece of evidence because I think that they might be kind of feeling some type of way in a sense that all of their witnesses, they can't recall these certain dates. But for this particular message, this was sent on September 30th of 2016. And so as far as just when this incident or alleged incident may have occurred, it might have occurred on September 30th, or it could have occurred on September 29th if you're interpreting it that way. Because again, Bonner didn't recall what particular date this happened, but she's been adamant throughout her testimony that this did happen. So I think the government really wanted to introduce this piece of evidence because the defense was implying that Bonner was lying. And so they wanted to show, okay, well, somebody told Cassie that this had happened. Cassie is talking to Christina Quorum about this. And so that message will go back to the jury when they do deliberate on this case soon, or eventually, I should say.
And it does become a question whether or not Christina Quorum is going to be called as a witness, and maybe can testify about that message. Okay, now, before we move into the next witness, there was something that happened that wasn't good for Sean Combs' side. My understanding was the judge was not too happy about Sean Combs' behavior, and he made it known after the jurors left the room, right?
Yeah, he did. So unfortunately, this was a moment where every time there's arguments outside the presence of the jury, right before we get to the lunch break, I'm always like, okay, should I go now? Should I leave? What is it? And so unfortunately for today, I wasn't there when the judge kind of really got into Diddy about this, but notably, he was doing this. This was something that even I, sitting in the gallery, was noticing this. For example, when Bonner was testifying about whether or not she had worked on the Bad Boy reunion tour, you could see Diddy over at his seat just really nodding. Sometimes when the jury comes in, yes, we're all looking at the jury come in, taking their seats, but there are times you do see him peeking over at their side, maybe possibly seeing how they're responding. And it also could be interpreted that maybe he's looking at the prosecution or whatever attorney is doing this type of questioning. But I feel like it was only a matter of time for the judge to say something, because it's something that a lot of us have noticed even as this trial was beginning, I should say.
Yeah, you can't look at the jurors and start nodding to them. You can't influence the jurors in any improper way. That's a big no-no, could potentially get kicked out of court for doing that. Okay, then we moved on to Enrique Santos. So he worked at the Southern District of New York, right? He's done cell phone extractions. What did he testify to? I saw something about a screenshot.
Yeah, so he was really testifying just about the analysis that he had done on Cassie's devices. So he extracted 3 iPhones in this case, and the source of the devices were Cassandra Ventura, aka Cassie. And Enrique Santos was saying that there were no errors that he is aware of happening, but he did note that one of the devices had previously been repaired. And so he said that they recorded several deleted data points, which is kind of a good portion of the message. So all the deleted data that I guess, you know, when somebody has their phone up, they think that a text message is deleted. They ended up actually recovering a good portion of that. And so we see an exhibit, and that being the Cellbrite reader report. So you see a text message from Cassie to Garen, who notably is the contact that Cassie had for Cowboys for Angels from February 14th of 2017, which is Valentine's Day. And then you see Cassie just say one simple message, hey. And Enrique Santos was like, we also export audio files, but the audio files are normally separately from the PDF and these Cellbrite reports. And then emojis, because, you know, a lot of people love to use emojis when they're sending messages back and forth, that sometimes they can't be interpreted and they kind of show up unrecognizable in the Cellbrite data report. But we see another exhibit of the Cellbrite data files report where you can kind of see a message when it's created, when it's modified, and when it's accessed. And so created obviously means if I'm sending a text message to my mom on today's date, then it says, hey, from Elizabeth on June 5th of 2025, the day it was modified. Then the day it's accessed by the U.S. attorneys or whoever is respectively analyzing this particular piece of data. And so even during the cross-examination, I was kind of like, okay, well, what kind of cross is there really going to be? And it seemed like the cross, which was conducted by Tini Garagos, it really kind of focused on the deleted messages. For example, Tini Garagos asked, is it true that there were many deleted messages, like 2/3 of them were deleted? And Enrique Santos responds, yes. How are you able to recover these types of messages? Enrique Santos says, it doesn't mean it goes away all of a sudden. Although they aren't accessible to the user, it's still in the phone's operating system. So again, everyone, even if you delete all your text messages, all your photos, they still show up some way, somehow, just within the system. And so we see an exhibit of the capture date from a Cellbrite report, where Tini Garagos asked, how do you know that the capture time is really correct? And so Enrique Santos was like, well, it's the most accurate reflection. We just don't speak in the absolute. So he can't say 100% that this is when this particular data point was created or anything like that. But for the most part, he says it does have the most accurate reflection. And then shortly after, the cross-examination ended and Enrique Santos was off the witness stand. So he was a really short witness today before we had the next big witness to testify.
Yeah, I don't know how much everybody's going to be focusing on Enrique Santos, because then you had Jane. So Jane takes the stand. This is alleged victim number 2. This is somebody we were anticipating her testimony. Again, she makes up several counts in the indictment. I said it before, I think she's arguably the second most important witness behind Cassie. Now, before we begin about her testimony, so everybody's clear, you are limited in what you can report about what you're seeing in that courtroom and about her, right?
Yeah, I'm very limited to it. So I cannot describe her physical appearance, necessarily really her demeanor while she's on the stand, or any identifiable traits that she had while she was even testifying. I can't speak on just her more personal information, nor, and I think one of the biggest things is, nor can we see any of the exhibits. And so if I'm going to be talking about these exhibits, it's from what I can hear inside the courtroom, and
Sure.
Unfortunately, it's not from what I can see inside the courtroom this time around.
By the way, there was also another issue regarding reporters, right? And whether or not they're following the court orders in terms of what they can report. Real quick, if you can break down what that's about before we get into Jane.
Yeah, absolutely. So it started this morning, bright and early. It's one of the first things the judge had kind of told us, where he felt like he was kind of lecturing us, but he said it in a very nice tone. So it seemed like he was just kind of reminding us, not even just in the main courtroom, but also in the overflow rooms, which he says is an extension of the main courtroom. And he said to pretend, if you're in the overflow room, that pretend just like as if he's on the bench in there, and just, again, it's an extension of the courtroom. And so he reminded us today that we are not to document Jane and her appearance. We're very limited in what we can really say about her. And even as far as the court sketches you guys are going to see of Jane in particular, you cannot see her face or anything like that. Really, this court sketch artist kind of just draws just a faceless face, if that makes sense.
Okay, so now with that in mind, let's take it a little piece by piece. She started by talking about her background and how she began her relationship with Sean Combs. And at the start of it, it seemed nice. So talk to us about what we learned about her background, when she met Combs, and the beginning of the relationship.
Yeah, so as far as her background goes, first they start with an exhibit photo. Again, that exhibit photo is private, but it's to confirm that Jane is who she really is. And so they show this particular exhibit just to the jury only, so we cannot see it in the gallery. But we do know that it was Jane's driver's license with her real name, but we're still going to be calling her Jane. And so Jane grew up in California. And as far as her relationship with Diddy goes, it lasted for a pretty lengthy period from 2021 all the way up until 2024. And notably, she said the relationship ended when Diddy got arrested. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting point. I didn't realize the relationship had lasted that long. And so she was explaining that during the relationship with Diddy, she called him just kind of cutesy names in a way. She would call him Sean, which is his real name. She would call him Ernie. And as far as Ernie, yes, it's like Ernie from Sesame Street, because she would be going by Bert, and so the two would be Bert and Ernie together. But she also said she called him things like Schnookums and Baby. And so she said that the two first met like for real on a girls trip to Miami, because actually her friend at the time, or the friend that she still has, was dating him around this time period. But she says she's met him before at a Father's Day celebration, kind of in passing. And so she explained even in 2020 that she was drawn to him instantly. She said very nice things about him, that he was really sweet. They went on a yacht, they had drinks, they were flirty together. And then when the two exchanged numbers, that's when the two began calling each other Bert and Ernie. And so even while she's on the stand describing her relationship with Sean Combs, she really seemed kind of like, oh, I was head over heels in love with him. We said love you very quickly in the relationship. And she was saying that their relationship, for the most part, was pretty private. And even as far as her posting him on social media, that she only posted him about maybe once. But what was also interesting is that Diddy had notably given her a lot of money at times. And so money to either pay for her rent, money to fly out to go see him, just a lot of money that was that she was getting from Sean Combs. Jane had explained that Diddy was larger than life. He was super charming. He was immediately immersed in conversations with her, and that their first date lasted a long period of time. It lasted 5 days. She said on that first date she had told Diddy about the relationship she was in with someone who was close to Diddy, and also kind of explained her child's father's relationship, and that the two don't necessarily get along. And Diddy said that he didn't mind that. And she said on their first date together that they made lots of love. That's how she described it. And she said after leaving Miami at this time period, because she was living kind of in the northern East Coast area, she said that she was head over heels for him, and that Diddy ended up taking her to Turks and Caicos. She said it was amazing, and that she flew to Miami, and then they took his plane, because he is a very rich man, and of course he has his own private plane to take him on trips. And on those trips were people including Christina Koram, the chef, the butler too. And so you see we see an exhibit, but an exhibit is shown of Christina Koram. It's privately shown. And then Jane was explaining from Turks, they went to the Bahamas, and that they had a lot of time connecting together and just a lot of time together. So then another exhibit is privately shown, and you could hear the audio of this. They're at a villa at Turks and Caicos over by the pool. You can hear the video. It's kind of some music playing, and you can't see it, but the prosecution asked who also appeared in this video, and Jane had verified that it was Sean. They were at the pool together, and she was explaining that she had told Diddy about the work that she did, that she was a content creator, but also a single mom, and that Diddy gave her a love bracelet and told her that he would send her money at the end of the trip, and not just any money, not a couple like $50 or $100, maybe even $1,000. No, it was a lot of money. It was $10,000 that he said that he was going to send her at the end of the trip, just to have $10,000, which must be pretty nice for someone to send $10,000 just because. But during the trip, Jane said that she started to use some types of drugs, including ecstasy. She said she had taken it before, but that Diddy was the one who suggested it at various points during the trip, like 10 times, as she said, and said that he had opened his hand, a pill was there, and said, take this, it'll be more fun. And then she said her body began convulsing during this trip. She fell to the sand, and that Christina Koram and the butler had to put her in a lukewarm shower. And then she said every other day that while on this trip, that they would take this ecstasy pill, I should say. And so it seemed like that was kind of the start of the relationship. One, drugs, but also a lot of money kind of being thrown at her just right at the beginning. But according to Jane, she was just head over heels during this.
So I don't hear sex trafficking yet. I don't hear that force, fraud, coercion. However, starts talking about, giving drugs when having sex, other people, his associates taking care of her. You're starting to see the flavors of then maybe things of value being given in exchange for sex acts. Why do I say that? Because then she talks about a change. She talks about a change in their sex life, right?
Yeah, she did. And she really started getting pretty emotional at this point, where you could hear her voice kind of shaking, as well as she started crying while she was on the witness stand. And this change in their relationship happened in May of 2021. And that was when Diddy started talking about fantasies at this point. Jane had said, he wanted me to talk about other men. Do you like what you see? Pretend it's here. And this is while the two were watching pornography together. She had explained that Diddy was the one who initiated the fantasy talks, and that around this time, Jane had been awake for 24 hours. She was doing drugs like ecstasy and Molly, and that Diddy had told Jane, I can make this fantasy a reality. And so Jane said, okay. And she said okay because it turned him on, and she thought she was playing into this fantasy. So she said during this period that Jane went to the bathroom after he said that he could make this fantasy a reality. She went to the bathroom, and then when she came out of the restroom, Diddy was in a robe and staring very intently at his phone, saying, we could make this happen tonight on this particular night. She again said, okay, but she said she was still high on drugs during this. And then Diddy took her to a hotel room, and this was in Miami. She said she saw assistants setting up the hotel room, but she doesn't remember particularly which assistants were doing that. But Diddy told her to relax, that it would be fun, and that he knew the guy. And Jane was super nervous, she says. She never met this person before. And so as we kind of get more into her testimony, we do know that that other man was an escort, or an entertainer, as she calls him, while on the stand. And so Jane was explaining that Diddy walked out of the bedroom and began talking to the other guy because this other man had arrived at this point. And then Diddy told her to come out, and that while she came out of this bedroom at this hotel, that she was wearing lingerie, and she was wearing very high heels, or stripper heels as she calls them, but she had a robe over herself. And then the entertainer that unfortunately, we didn't see its exhibit photo, but she says that the entertainer or escort was a man named Don, and she could tell that Don and Diddy kind of knew each other. She said she got a sense that they knew each other, but she said that he was from, she calls it Cowboys and Angels, but you can't help but think, is it possible that she meant Cowboys for Angels, something that a service that even Cassie herself said she used while she was testifying. And so she said that slowly that Diddy was telling her to relax. She was nervous. She began dancing. Then she took off her robe, and Dawn got turned on. And next thing you know, Dawn is coming closer to her, and it's starting to make her try to feel comfortable. And while all of this was going on, Diddy was watching this, and he was pleasuring himself or masturbating. And Dawn suggested that she perform oral sex on him, and Diddy was watching throughout all of this. And so I think right here I can say that while Cassie had called these types of nights freak-offs, when Jane was on the stand, she says that they refer to these as debauchery nights or hotel nights. Even if these sexual sessions don't happen at a hotel, they may happen at her apartment or at his home, that they still call it hotel nights or debauchery nights. And so Jane was explaining that she moved to the bedroom to get things going. She asked Dawn to wear a condom. Diddy didn't want that. Diddy said that Dawn was clean and that these guys get tested all the time. And then Diddy ended up giving Dawn a condom in the last moment. Diddy just watched while Dawn had sex with Jane. Then afterwards, Dawn left and finished on her. And then even after this session with the escort, that Diddy and Jane continued to have sex. And then the next day, the two just went on a boat. And she said, I think what's interesting too, Jesse, is just what she explained as far as the first night goes, where she said, I felt exhilarated from that experience. It was taboo. It was fun. She said, I didn't think we'd be doing it again. I thought maybe one time or maybe another time that's on a random night. But she said, I felt that night opened Pandora's box. It was a door I was unable to shut. It was just too much of it. So maybe that might possibly go into count for just a little bit, but I'm interested to know your thoughts on just her reaction to doing it.
So at this point, and I know she's going to talk a little bit more about it, at this point, I don't see sex trafficking. It's very similar to Cassie when she talked about initially agreeing to freak off. So if Cassie's testimony had ended right there and they went to lunch or they ended for the day, you could say, what's going on here? It just so happened they finished her testimony, Jane. There's obviously more we're going to get into what she said, but they finished her testimony where I think, and we'll get into it, I think it supports transportation to engage in prostitution. That essentially she was being paid or given things of value to engage in sex acts and was transported to different places. What I don't hear is the level of violence and threats and force and fraud that was used to induce her. However, let's talk about this. She said it opened Pandora's box, and I'm curious what she meant by that. How did this escalate? And whether or not coercion and finances were a way to induce her to engage in these acts. Talk to us about that.
So as far as these debauchery nights, aka hotel nights, and maybe to some these freak-off nights, Jane was explaining that these went on from May of 2021 to October of 2023, and they happened every single time she saw Diddy, that he wanted to do these hotel nights every single time he saw her, and that Sean or Diddy didn't give Jane much notice to see him, but she made herself available to see him whenever he wanted to. And so Jane was explaining, similar to how Cassie's testimony was, that she made sure her hair was great, her nails were great, she had her glam done, because in addition to her liking to look well put together, she explained that Diddy liked that too. And so she, very much like Cassie, was explaining that Diddy had certain preferences for how she wore her hair. For example, Diddy liked when Jane wore her hair straight, but during these hotel nights, he liked them in a ponytail. He liked her nails to be a certain way, that being this creamy white color, and that at one point that Diddy wanted her to get her nipples pierced. And she said that she had to look presentable every day, so she worked out, she got her nails done, she got her hair done, she did her lashes, and she said this costs a lot of money because at the time, while she was doing things on social media, she said her social media presence declined when she started dating Diddy. And at one point, there were times where Diddy, again, was just giving her money. It would be either $5,000, it would be $10,000 in cash or wire transfers, and the most money that he ever gave her in one period was $20,000. And so Diddy would wire this money to her or also give it to her in cash. And then in 2021 or around this time, she said she wanted to make her own money and she wanted to do OnlyFans. And Diddy was hesitant about it, but Jane said that she would just be wearing lingerie and implied nudity. And she explained that my girlfriend made $4 million that year, and I knew that it would be lucrative for me. So she said she got permission to start this particular OnlyFans page from Diddy because she wanted to make sure that he had approved of this. But I think also what's interesting is during this time period, Diddy's paying for her rent, and her rent, you know, as I complain about how much my rent costs here in New York City, her rent was like 8 times more than my rent was. And so the government introduces this exhibit, and again, we cannot see these photos, but we do kind of hear the description, and it's of Jane's lease. So it began in on April 4th of 2023. Again, we can't see this, but we do know that the rent was $10,000 a month. She said she couldn't afford this rent amount on her own, and Jane proposed even a $15,000 a month allowance, an allowance I myself would love just without all that extra stuff. Just anyway, but that Diddy only gave her $10,000 a month, which for the most part, if you just think about it, is just enough for her to cover just her rent alone. It doesn't go to the other necessities or extras that she may need to pay and kind of carry on with her life. Then we see an exhibit, or not we see an exhibit, unfortunately we hear about this exhibit, and it's an email between Jane, her landlord, and Diddy's accountant. And we do know the accountant's name, that being Robin, but again, we can't see it. And so you hear the prosecution just kind of saying what the contents of this email are, and it's from Robin, again, to the landlord, and Jane's tagged in this or CC'd in this particular email where it says, please find the bank confirmation for Jane's rent. Please let me know if you have any trouble. And then at the bottom of the email, from Maureen Comey's description, it was it had a wire transfer, which included probably and likely the amount of money that she had paid for as far as her rent goes.
So again, it seems like, the prosecution would say he's controlling her financial life, controlling her finances to get her to do these things. Again, I don't know if I necessarily see sex trafficking, but you could have transportation to engage in prostitution, right? Talk to me about the love contract, and talk to me about the fact that didn't his agent or Christina Coram get plane tickets to keep flying her out for all of these hotel nights?
So, well, I'm going to take that first portion of your question first, as far as the love contract goes. And what's also interesting is one of Diddy's monikers is Love. I think he even has a giant tattoo where it says Love, and even his youngest daughter is named Love. But as far as this particular love contract goes, it's all about just kind of a good faith contract where there was no document signed, but it was pretty much that Diddy would pay her rent going forward. I think it was drafted, or the two kind of agreed upon it verbally after the two got into an argument and called things off for a very short period of time. But this love contract, in its essence, is just about that he would continue paying her rent. And as Jane described it, would continue paying her rent if she continued to do these hotel and debauchery nights. If she threatened to not do these, that Diddy could possibly threaten to take her rent or her money away. But even as far as kind of going to count 5, transportation to engage in prostitution, as well as count 3, that she saw Diddy in places like Turks and Caicos, in Miami, in Los Angeles, in New York, and they had hotel nights in all of these different places that Diddy would arrange her travel. Well, not Diddy himself, but that Diddy's travel agent, because again, this is a very rich man. Of course, he has his own travel agent, and that Diddy would pay for her to travel to wherever he is or wherever they were going to do these hotel nights, debauchery nights. And she was explaining that each hotel night followed the same kind of pattern, especially that they would happen in hotel suites and other places. And she said these patterns included red lights and music, beverages, and alcohol. She explained, similar to Cassie, that there were bed sheets, blankets, and towels that covered the furniture because of the amount of baby oil that would be used during these particular sex sessions. And she's explained that they always use baby oil, 24 or more bottles of baby oil in these hotel nights that wouldn't even just last just a couple hours, Jesse. She explained that these would last days on end, and at some points that it wasn't just with one escort, that it was with multiple escorts too. And so there's an exhibit that, again, we can't see, but it was a text message from August 31st of 2022 where Jana says, when you pull up, can you have security catch the bag with the key? Then we'll throw down. And Diddy responds, what's the address? Implying that these happen at her particular address too, obviously because of the sensitivity of Jane even testifying. That address wasn't read aloud in court, but that these hotel nights would occur at her place too. And Jane said he would tell me what he liked and what he wanted to see. He would encourage more or less of what he wanted to see, and that Jane would buy particular lingerie from sex shops, and Diddy would choose, depending on what type of outfits that she bought, what he liked in particular. And so she kind of gave a step-by-step kind of playback as far as what every single hotel night, as far as the pattern goes, and what would kind of occur. She explained that it began with Jane greeting the person and would make small talk with the escorts or the men that were there. The escorts would be undressed with their shorts. Jane would come out in a robe, and she said that she would be high most of the time. And she would begin slow dancing because she was just so nervous. And then she would derobe. Then she would put baby oil on the escort while Diddy would masturbate. And she would explain that these were just really long foreplay sessions that were going on, and that during all of this, Diddy just wanted Jane, in her respect, to touch herself and touch the escort. He really enjoyed watching me put oil over myself and the man. That's what she had explained while she was on the stand today. And after foreplay, she said it was time for sex, but the oral sex would begin first, and that Jane would try to speed things up with the oral sex because they would last for hours. And she explained that Diddy wanted her to be doing this, and that Jane would suggest moving into the bedroom to just speed things up because these were just very long, and from what she's kind of describing, very intensive sessions. And that after the man would finish, that he would be excused. And that even after this, and I think I had already explained this a little earlier, that she had always explained that she just wanted to be with her partner, as she had called it on the stand. She just wanted to be with him and him only. She didn't want to be having sex with other men, but she was worried and scared that he would either break up with her, stop paying her rent, and that she just continued to do this to please him in a way. And she said again, and every single hotel night, it would happen more than once, and sometimes it would happen with more than one escort. And so kind of similar to Cassie's, it seems like these were just very long sessions. She didn't talk about IV fluids as far as her testimony goes today. She didn't talk about anything else. But I feel like that's kind of what we're leading up to tomorrow and even on Monday, as that's how long the direct examination of Jane will continue.
Yeah, I think these are the beginning stages. They're trying to lead the seeds of this relationship, the power imbalance, financial support, drugs that she was on, maybe when she had to engage in these sex acts, how long they were, how elaborate. But I just don't sense at this point the lack of consent that might be needed for force, fraud, or coercion. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, they're laying the seeds of it, and I think it's really interesting. And they're obviously relying on her heavily because multiple charges are based on her testimony. So listen, Elizabeth, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. And again, I know this is not easy subject matter to listen to day in and day out, but you report with such great detail, such poise, such professionalism. Thank you so much, and really appreciate you and the work that you do.
Thank you so much, Jesse.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, what time is it? God damn, it's like almost 2 o'clock. All right, man. We're going to go ahead and sign up out of here. Like I said, man, we had a lot of Diddy news earlier, so I want to get you guys caught up on that. So now caught up on all that shit. Hopefully some shit pops off tomorrow. We did 2 live streams a day. We're going to be chopping up these clips. Go ahead, hit that like, subscribe button. Like I said, we are super close. We are, let me see, 126 subscribers away from 6,000. 126 subscribers away from 6,000. So let's get to 6,000 views by the end of the month. Let's get 6,000 views by this time next week. Let's get that 125 subscribers by next week. I'm going to go ahead and sign out of here. Peace out. You guys have a great night. Good afternoon. Catch you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Actually, today's Friday. Yeah. So we can catch you today, guys, a little bit later. Like some probably go to bed, get up early, go to the gym, work out and shit, and then hop back on stream. You guys have a wonderful night. Be safe. $, Florida Boy J, Perspectives and Facts podcast, man. You guys, man, I appreciate you guys pulling up. See you guys tomorrow, man. Peace out. Be safe.